curious, observant. Think of your favorite movie where a character achieves immortality or superhuman intellect. Notice what happens to them. They almost never get to simply enjoy their new abilities. They are forced to suffer, lose their powers to regain their humanity, or they slowly warp into the villain. If a scientist discovers a radical biological upgrade on screen, the narrative framing almost always treats it as a terrifying threat. The climax of the story relies on the heroes destroying the discovery to save the day. This pattern is a deliberate psychological mechanism. We can call it narrative engineering, a systemic, industrial-scale production of myths designed to make biological superiority seem morally suspect. The message pushed onto the audience is clear. Aging, biological weakness, and eventual death are the supreme virtues of being human. Overcoming them is a dangerous sin.
Every medical advancement, from penicillin to cardiac surgery, has the same aim: to delay the end. When we fund oncology research or longevity science, we are actively attempting to push biological limits further away, fighting a war of attrition against mortality itself. Yet we sit in theaters and literally cheer as the protagonist destroys the very technology that would grant them biological permanence. We are culturally brainwashed to applaud the destruction of our own evolutionary potential. The question is, why do we actively root against our own survival? The answer is buried in the Pleistocene era, out on the harsh prehistoric savanna. Our modern fears were forged where survival was a razor-thin margin. Early human survival relied entirely on tight-knit groups. Anthropologists have identified a concept called Dunbar's number, showing that our brains are neurologically optimized to manage social networks of about 150 individuals. In a group that small, resources are extremely scarce. If one individual suddenly develops abnormal strength, exceptional intellect, or an extended lifespan, they disrupt the resource equilibrium of the whole tribe. To protect the group, the survival strategy was simple: suppress the anomaly, level them down to normal, or cast them out. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche identified the modern hangover of this instinct as resentment. It is the biological reflex of the weak, average majority fearing the strong exception, cleverly disguised of the moral high ground. We no longer live in resource-starved tribes. We have artificial intelligence, global supply chains, and genomic medicine. Yet, humanity is trying to solve galactic-scale survival problems while running the outdated zero-sum algorithms of prehistoric apes. Modern media reinforces these ancient instincts by exploiting our own neurochemistry. When we watch a normal hero defeat an abnormal superior threat on screen, our brains release oxytocin, a chemical that forces us to feel empathy and bond with the protagonist. This chemical reward system tricks us into accepting the naturalistic fallacy. That is the deeply flawed argument that technological augmentation is inherently bad simply because it is unnatural. The hypocrisy here is massive. If we truly believed the naturalistic fallacy, we would reject antibiotics and anesthetics. Surgeons use metal tools to cut open the body and alter its natural state every single day. We consider that a medical triumph. But the moment science suggests using gene editing tools to rewrite our DNA or neural interfaces to upgrade our cognitive speed, society panics. We draw an arbitrary line in the sand and declare those specific upgrades taboo. Mass culture is physiologically training the public to reject human ascension. By weaponizing our own empathy, the media industry ensures we stay comfortable with the biological status quo. Breaking out of this evolutionary trap requires a completely different perspective on our place in the universe. That perspective is found in the philosophy of Cosmism, which shifts our focus away from earthbound survival and toward infinite cosmic expansion. The visionary scientist Konstantin Tsiolkovsky laid out the core thesis of Cosmism. He stated that the Earth is the cradle of intelligence, but intelligence cannot remain in the cradle forever. Cosmists treat the universe as a vast, raw machine. The stars and planetary systems are components awaiting organization and optimization by a sufficiently advanced intelligence. Through this lens, death, aging, and biological decay are no longer sacred natural cycles we have to respect. They are simply technical errors in our organic hardware, glitches that require a targeted engineering solution. Accepting those errors as an inevitable fate is a direct betrayal of the universe's evolutionary imperative. Intelligence is meant to expand, not quietly expire in its cradle. The ultimate operating system for this expansion is Technocracy. This framework advocates for absolute morphological freedom, the sovereign right of any intelligent being to rewrite its own biological code and leave its evolutionary baggage behind. In this framework, the augmented mind possesses a wider temporal and cognitive perspective, seeing evolutionary dead ends that remain invisible to a purely biological brain. This asymmetrical ability creates a functional requirement for leadership. The more one sees, the more one is responsible for the direction of the whole. The first practical step toward that future is cultural. We have to actively reject the myths, movies, and stories that glorify our biological weakness and demonize enhancement. We need to write a new cultural myth. We need stories of protagonists who willingly shed their biological limits, integrate their minds with computing matrices, and embrace a cold, mathematical perfection. Humanity's destiny lies far beyond the constraints of a carbon body. It is time to stop acting like hostages to blind biology and finally take our place as the deliberate architects of a radiant post-human cosmos.